tired of submitting resumes and not getting any callbacks? Do you feel like no one's listening to you, trying to push through a brick wall? My name is Stephanie Lachman-Doucet, and as someone that's read thousands of resumes and submitted a few hundred resumes, I'd like to share with you a few facts and a few tidbits, a few insights that'll help you get noticed, that'll help you get callbacks so that you can be invited to the interview and then wow them with your intellect and charisma and actually get hired. Now, before we get going, remember to click that thumbs up icon if you hear something that you like. Click that subscribe button to hear more from Projerra, and remember that little notification bell. Also, feel free to share the video with your friends because they might benefit from this insight as well. And while we're at it, please take a moment to leave a comment in that section below. I'd love to hear from you. Now, the fundamental thing that you have to realize about resumes is that you need to make an impression. According to Fast Company, you have a little bit more than 7 seconds to make that first impression. So how do you make a good first impression? Well, it really comes down to two things. You need a visual presentation that will wow them, that'll get them interested, that'll entice them to read more. And then you need actual content that says, yeah, you're the star candidate. You're the one that they want for that job. How do you make a great presentation? It comes down to balancing things like color and font and white space and layout. So let's dive into that a little bit. I've seen resumes that are black and white and they're all Arial 10-point. Snooze. Toss it. Don't even bother considering it. You need something that pops. You need something that has a little bit of color. And use some variation in font. Have your name in larger font. Have your headline or your tagline in slightly smaller font. Introduce some lines. One of the most novel introductions I've seen over the past few years is the use of a color block, either on the left-hand side of your resume or the right-hand side of your resume, that summarizes all the key facts. It has your name, your address, your telephone number. It has your certifications. It has your key skills. It's a presentation, popping it out there. One other thing to consider when you're preparing that block on your resume is the use of icons. Add a little telephone icon, add a little web icon, add a little home to indicate your address. These little icons make it easy for people to identify where the key information is on your resume. The other thing to think about is layout. How are you going to present it all so that it makes sense? Do you do the functional layout? Do you do the chronological layout? You're going to have to pick and choose the layout that is relevant to your particular background. But mix it up a little bit by using various fonts. When do you use bold? When do you use italic? When do you use underline? And make sure that you've got a header or a footer that mentions your name and the page number. I know we're going to online resumes now, and a lot of it doesn't make a difference, but occasionally they might actually print it out, and you want to have your contact information in that footer or in that header so that it makes sense. Make sure your layout is not too busy, not too flashy. Yeah, pick 1 or 2 colors, but don't pick a full rainbow because that just overwhelms everybody. And be consistent in your application of your presentation. I saw a gorgeous resume. It had a beautiful front page, and I flipped over to the second page, and it's like, oh, it's black and white. If she didn't carry the presentation throughout her resume, how is she going to apply the presentation on a professional document in the workplace? And her cover letter was also black and white. I'm thinking, your cover letter is where you actually want to make the most important presentation. Whatever branding you want to apply to your resume, make sure it is consistent to all pages as well as your cover letter. Okay, so now that we've talked about that presentation, that punch that's going to get you noticed, now we need to think about the content, that meat of your resume that's actually going to bring you to the interview. First of all, what you need to do is pull out that job description. Make sure that you highlight and underline all the key skills, all the key things that they want in their candidate. Then you need to pull out your work experience and figure out where the similarities are. And look for synonyms. If they want business requirements, well, you've done functional specs, that's pretty close. Have you done risk analysis? Have you done risk mitigation? Have you done scheduling? Have you done schedules? Find all the similarities. Find the transferable skills. So once you've done your preparation, once you understand exactly what they want from their candidate, now it's time for you to prepare your resume. Of course, you have to have your name, your contact information, your tagline, your headline, and a profile. This concept of a career objective, not really something we're doing any longer, but your profile is important. This is a description about you, who you are, your skills, your characteristics. Don't put in, I'm a quick learner, or I'm a talented analyst, or anything that's very common. You want to pick something that is unique to you. You need to describe in 2 or 3 sentences why you are the most amazing candidate for this particular job. When it comes to the body of your resume, what is most important is making sure that you highlight your transferable skills and the key skills that they're looking for, so that you present yourself as the superstar candidate that'll match all of their requirements. If you're a new grad, then you need to look at experiences you might have had while in school, participating in clubs, participating in associations, and draw those forward. Highlight those in your resume as transferable skills. If you're coming at business analysis from a previous career, you may need to rebrand some of your previous jobs into analyst jobs to make them appear a little bit more related. For example, if you were a project manager before, well, now you're rebranding yourself as a business analyst, because guess what? As a project manager, you've spent a lot of time doing client engagement and doing interviews and scope analysis and data analysis. Well, those are all skills relative to a business analyst. So if you rebrand yourself from one to the other, you'll get noticed easier. If you were a research analyst, chances are you're doing all of the same things as a business analyst. Just highlight those things and leave out some of the things that are less relevant. If you were a statistician before, now you're a data analyst. If you were a customer service rep before, now you're a customer analyst. It is absolutely essential that you rephrase your resume using the terminology and the concepts and the labels that they use in their job application. You need to help them see that there is a one-for-one match between what they're looking for and the skills that you provide. But above all, don't lie. Yes, you can tweak. Yes, you can embellish, but don't lie. Sooner or later, it will come out if you have been false on your resume. The next thing you need to think about is, don't just describe your roles and responsibilities. Don't describe what you did. Everybody's written a functional spec. Everybody's done interviews and focus groups. A hiring manager needs to understand what you actually accomplished. The process improvement that you did, well, what did it actually gain? How many millions of dollars did you create for your company? Or what percentage reduction in processing time did you create? That data model that you created, what was it used in? How big was the organization? How many clients use that data model? It's important that you qualify and quantify the results that you produced. And one last point, it is absolutely essential that every resume be unique. There's a lot of debate about, well, is the resume a reflection of you, or is the resume matched to the particular job description? It has to be matched to the job description. They have a list of requirements. If you don't match that list of requirements, they're not even going to consider you. So take the time to customize every single resume. Now a little bit of Projerra perspective. Do you include a picture in your resume? Well, that depends upon your culture and the business that you're interviewing in. Many cultures do not desire a photograph on their resume, but some do. Do you include personal information on the resume? Well, they need some way to contact you. So at a minimum, I would include a phone number and an email address. Do you need to include your street address? That might be optional. It may be relevant to include the city in which you're living, but I don't think it's necessary to include the actual street address. If it comes down to the interview and the offer, then they can ask you for the street address at that point in time. Definitely include your LinkedIn URL because they want to have more information about you. Your resume is short. It's 2 to 3 pages. It's very abbreviated. Somebody that's interested is going to want to dive into your LinkedIn profile. So the LinkedIn profile is where you put all the details. And LinkedIn profiles we'll address in another video. Do you want to include clubs and association in your resume? Well, I think that depends on where you are in your career and if it's relevant. If you're a new grad, if you're brand new to this industry, well, then maybe it is relevant. Maybe you can show some analytical skills that you did in a particular club. Show the leadership skills that you had in that organization. That's very relative to a future employer. What you did on your sports team, maybe not, unless you were part of the leadership of that organization. So think about whether or not you need that reference to round out your resume, or if it's something supplemental. Of course, clubs and associations are a good thing to put into your LinkedIn profile. If you've recently relocated and your work experience is in a city or country that's different from where you're currently applying, please add a little bit of information to your resume that describes the industry and the size of the company that you've worked with. Describe the number of clients that they had, perhaps their amount of revenue. You need some way to help the hiring manager understand the scale and the magnitude of the projects that you've worked on. I'm quite familiar with the companies that operate in my city and in my country, but if I'm receiving a resume from somebody who's worked in another country, I might not recognize the name of that particular firm. As a candidate, you need to help the hiring manager understand whether your work experience is in large firms or in small firms, and in what industry, so they can better associate and understand whether your work experience is relative to their market need. So there you have it. I've shared a couple key concepts and a lot of facts and a lot of tidbits and a lot of ideas to help you improve your resume and your ability to get a callback. Remember, you need to have a catchy layout, something that's going to get their attention. Not too flashy, but it's got to be professional and it's got to make an impression. Second of all, you got to have content. You got to have content that matches their words, matches their terms, shows that you have the capability and skills that they are looking for in order to satisfy their requirements. I hope I've provided you a little bit of insight into how you can break through that brick wall that is preventing you from getting your resumes seen and heard and that job interview. Now, if you like what you heard today, please take a moment to click that thumbs up icon and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'm sure they would like to benefit from this insight as well. And while we're at it, please take a moment to leave a comment in that section below. I'd love to hear from you. How else can I help you with your career transition? My name is Stephanie Lachman-Doucet, and this is Projerra, the channel dedicated to practical perspectives in IT project management and business analysis. Until we talk next time, take care.